Hello everyone, this is a stitching tutorial of this dress. So the first thing I did was to place my pattern on my fabric and cut it out. I'm using a stretchy velvet, so I'm not adding any sewing allowance and any stitching allowance to it. The only thing I added was my zip allowance to the back. So that's the only thing I added. And I cut everything out exactly as it is on my pattern. So this is my back. I would do the same thing to the front bodice. After cutting it out, my pattern out of my main fabric, I'll set it aside and cut on my lining. For this stretchy velvet, I'm using a stretchy lining, lycra lining for it to. For the lower part, I'll be using my mesh. I folded my mesh into two, then into a triangle. So what I'm doing here is I divided my round knee into four, and whatever I had, I measured. I looked for where it would fit on the tip of the mesh, and then measured it and used it to like mark a circle. This is actually a 180-degree circle. If you don't know how to, just let me know and I'll make a tutorial on how to do this. Mind you, I am not making my radius into a circle form. As you can see, I'm making it a little bit straight so that the ruffles on it will not be too much. So I lost my full length from my upper bodice, and this is what I marked there. So after marking, I took my tape to the tip and just followed the line. Just exactly what I did. So I'll keep that aside and iron interfacing on my lining pieces. I'm going to iron this interfacing on the neckline and the armhole, if you can see me do. This is to give it a little bit of stability on that area. You know, this is a stretchy lining and I'm using a stretchy velvet, so I don't want a situation whereby the neck will be too wide or the armhole will be too wide. So that's what I'm doing. The next thing I'm going to do is to take one piece of my back and join by the side by side with the front. I'm using 1 inch allowance for this. Remember, I did not add any sewing allowance when I was cutting this on my fabric, when I was transferring from my fabric to my pattern. Why? Because it is a stretchy material. We want it to be as snuggy as possible. And then I don't need to close the back because I want to do the invisible seam method for this. So I'm going to join my lining to my lining first. That's the back side of my lining to the side front of my lining too, both sides. And then I'm going to keep this aside and do the same thing to my main fabric piece. The next thing I did was to place my main fabric piece to my lining piece. Please do not join the shoulder as I did here. It was a temporal stitch and it wasn't really necessary. So I'm going to pin round the armhole, round the neckline, and then I'll stitch that. So I have done that. I've stitched both the neckline, both the armhole, and I've loosened the sewed shoulder stitch that I did. Now to join my shoulder, I'm going to place the back shoulder to the front shoulder, as you can see me do here. Sorry, my camera is not focusing directly on it, but what I did was place the front shoulder to the back shoulder, then open the back shoulder at that point, as you see me do. Let the main fabric rest on the front shoulder. That's the main fabric. Then I'm going to use my safety pin to connect from the main fabric. That means I'm connecting 3 pieces together, and then I'm going to pass my safety pin into the back shoulder hole, as you see me do. Into the back shoulder hole, as you see me do, and then I would pass it in until it comes out from the back parts. Just follow what I did. Look at it carefully and you would understand. So I'm going to remove my safety pin, arrange my shoulder seams. If you can see, the front shoulder seam is inside the back shoulder seam. So I'm going to stitch on that part with 1/2 inch, and that's after stitching you just notch the edges and remove any excess fabric and turn it inside out. So this is, see how clean it is, both front and back. So after doing that, I would pin my mesh flay to the base of my main bodice. After that, I'll fold my dress into 2 at the zipper area, measure where I want my zip to stop, and then take in 1 inch all the way down, just exactly as you see me do, taking 1 inch. So this is my final result without the ruffles. I'll be making a separate tutorial on how I made the ruffles. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned, like and subscribe.